Well, now I've finished giving my mother an anxiety attack, I'll do a video. Now, I told her I'm off to my good friend Rurik Gunnar Magnusson's funeral tomorrow in Ruislip, I think it's pronounced, in Surrey. So I've got to get up about 5 o'clock tomorrow morning and set off by train because the only carload of people I know going from my area here, they've already got a carload. So, you know. Yeah, and my mother, I may as well have told her I was going, trekking on my own in the Amazonian jungle. That was her reaction, which didn't really help my stress levels at the moment. Because I spoke to him, must have been 5 days before he died, in early January, coincidentally about the same time of year as my father passed away last year. It's only Coke. I can't afford booze at the moment. Although some kind gentleman did buy me a pint down at the Brewer's Arms, which is a lovely local pub here in Ipswich. I'm plugging it. All right, Andy? No, and well, Rick was very special to a lot of people. He was special to me. I viewed him as a third father figure in my life after my own father, There was my dad's mate, Rod, who maybe I will make a video and talk about at some point. Proper East End boy. Very wise. Bit of a fucking Cockney Yoda, actually. But Rick, when I joined the Orms Guard, when I first met him, I was in awe of him. His gear, the discipline and seriousness with which he took what he did. He was thoroughly dedicated to whatever he turned his hand to, be it, as I found out after his death, tap dancing, designing and painting stage sets, and of course being the cyber Viking. This man had been doing Viking reenactments since the late 1970s. And I forget exactly when, but several years ago he had to have a pacemaker fitted because he's always suffered with, health problems. And he bought lamellar plate armour with extra padding so he could still fight on the battlefield. And I know many in the reenactment circles know him as a man who didn't hold back on the battlefield and could put down men half his age. And yet he'd quite haphazardly and accidentally, give himself stitches cutting an onion with a kitchen knife at home. He was hilarious. It was Rick that gave me my Viking nickname. When was that? First reenactment do I ever did with the Orms Guard. It was West Stow Anglo-Saxon Village, which is a lovely place. I'll plug that as well. Multi-period event. There was American Civil War reenactors. I think there were some Napoleonic people. And, people from all different historical periods, which I've always found those events the best. Because, you sit and chat shit with people about so much history. And I'm a huge history geek, of course. Basically, I was standing there with a pewter tankard full of red wine. And, well, I think it was one of the American Civil War reenactors. He looked at me and he went, "I know you." And I was like, "Do you?" And, it was like Ofton Lime Burners, which is another lovely little country pub outside of Needham Market in this area. And basically, he knew me because I used to do the Sharp theme tune and a few other a cappella folk songs at this pub called the Ofton Lime Burners on a Sunday when they had a folk night. And he was like, go on, do Sharp. So I did, here's 40 shillings on the drum for those who volunteer to come, enlist and fight the foe today, over the hills and far away. I did that, and carried it on because I know all the words. And round of applause. People kept pouring more drink in me tankard as I kept singing these folk songs and Levellers and New Model Army and all that. And as the evening progressed, I got steadily less tuneful but more entertaining, apparently. Yeah. And eventually it got to the stage where people were like looking at me and, oh dear, he's really, really drunk. So I thought, well, I best, wander off. Wandered off. I mean, there's no street lamps or anything on site, so it's pitch black, apart from the campfires, which is wonderful. And the stars were all out. And I put my tankard down in the middle of the field and decided to do a silly drunken dance. Tripped over the tankard, fell on it and crushed it. And it was full of red wine mixed with Lord's know what else. And I woke up the next morning and my Viking tunic was stained pink. Oh, hello. And Rick looked at me and he went, wine bench. I went, what? Hungover was all hell. He went, wine bench. You like to sit in your wine, don't you, Halfdan? Which is kind of my Viking nickname I'd chosen. And that has stuck with me ever since. Halfdan Winebench, the Viking tinker. And it is an honour to carry that name because a very, very talented and great man gave that name to me. And I will carry it forever on my heart. And this axe handle Rick made and carved for me when I broke my old one. Obviously not, he didn't make the handle. I mean, I painted it myself, but he did all the woodwork on this, and it's hickory and it's beautiful and it is wonderful. And this axe will always be a memory of Rick to me. I was desperate to get to his funeral. I didn't hear about it till this morning because I'm crap. Organisation is not my strong point, but I was desperate to get to his funeral because I think 4 or 5 days before he died, I promised him I'd go and see him in the hospice because it was the big C that got him. Bless him. And by the time I'd got my shit together and thought about going down to see him, he'd passed away. And I don't want to miss his funeral. He was a great man to many people. Known across the reenactment scene, HEMA, Historical European Martial Arts. He used to attend Scholar Gladiatoria. Yeah, I'm giving you a plug now, guys. Great channel, by the way. He did that regularly. Even when he had a pacemaker fitted, there was no stopping him. He after he had the pacemaker fitted, he started calling himself the Cyborg Viking. I fucking loved that, man. So I'll be there at his funeral and wake tomorrow. It's important to me. I have no idea what's expected of me there, so I shall just go down in plain clothes. I don't want to go dressed as a Viking and end up looking like a fucking tit. You know. But I've said to Joshua Edward Hicks, who really wants to go but is still recovering from his kidney transplant, that if there's anything he wants me to take and or say on his behalf, I will do that for him. Because he loved Rick as well. Many people did. And it's important for me to be at his funeral. It means something to me. Very deep and profound. He was a true warrior and a loyal friend. Even after I kind of left the Alms Guard, for the next 3 years before I got my fitness back and have started training with groups again. Unfortunately, this didn't happen while he was alive. I hoped he would have been proud of me for getting back into it. But, hang on. Whoops. But basically, everything I posted on Facebook in the space of about 2 or 3 years, he'd be the first there to like it or comment. And even if he didn't like it or comment, he'd be reading it because he'd pop up in the 2 or 3 days and say, "Oh, did you get that sorted, Howard?" Or something like that. He was always, apart from when he was a Viking or doing musicals, he was a phenomenal tap dancer. I've seen the videos, and man, oh man, I couldn't do that. But then again, I tend not to try and cut my fingers off while cooking. Tend. I don't know, he's just one of these people. He was one of these people that you meet and you just instantly think, whoa, this guy is special in a good way. Well, he'd probably call himself a bit special. He wouldn't mind that, I'm pretty sure. Lost my train of thought there. Trains, yes, got to get one tomorrow. Ruislip. Is that how you say it? Ruislip. Ruislip. I'll figure out where it is and what connections I've got to make later on this evening, I think. Yeah, no, plenty of time. There's no panic, no rush. I'll get there. I mean, I'm hoping that there's going to be someone local in the neighbourhood that can give me a sofa to crash on, although it is an early afternoon wake, so chances are I'll be able to get a train back that day because it's not an evening wake. It seems as though it's just after the funeral. So, yeah. I'm going to put this on Facebook as well as my YouTube channel because I think it's important. The man's life deserves to be celebrated because I think he was a very great man. I'm kind of hoping that Jason, the former leader of Ormsgard, will come out of the woodwork for this. But he disappeared off all social media many years ago and no one's really heard from him. Because he was kind of another mentor of mine. I'll always remember one time when I was training with Ormsgard, I ended up with an all-nighter at St Jude's Brewery Tavern. Great pub. Hi, Frank. Hi, Colleen. I'm plugging you. And basically, I was at an all-nighter. We were standing up on the patio, upstairs patio, in the pouring rain with the thunder and lightning crashing around us. It was pretty fucking epic. And I ended up there all night. Thought, oh dear, I'm a bit drunk, aren't I? Still, and I should not have been driving. No, I should not have been. That was bad. And I got there, and Rick kind of looked at me and grinned and shook his head. And Jason came over, and he looked at me, and he went, "Thanks, Moonraven." Oh, I'm forgetting people's names now. Lady who knows him from Cambridgeshire has just popped up on a message to say, well, I hope it goes well. Thanks for that, Don. I'm putting this on Facebook, so hopefully you'll see it, all right? But thanks for the support. Where was I? Jason, the leader, looked at me with a rather evil smile on his face. I went, heavy night last night, Howard. I went, yeah. Well, we're going to sweat that out of you, aren't we? And I swear he made me throw up 5 times during that training session. He literally, at one point, had me doing sit-ups and was punching me in the stomach when I rose. He taught me a valuable lesson that day. I never turned up drunk again. Never ever. He taught me discipline, as did my father. Rick taught me to enjoy life. Rick taught me how important it is to clean up litter in your local environment, which he did all the time. He taught me that you don't just have to be a bloody Viking. You can be many things to many different people. And he was. He was a very, very special man. And I need to go to his funeral to honour him. It's important. Just being nosy, I'm sitting in the window at home, so I've got the 3 windows. So yeah, hopefully I'll get there and back without too many hitches. I don't mind the odd adventure, but it's important that I get there first and foremost. How I get back, well, it doesn't matter. I could end up leaving after the wake and coming straight home. I could end up with friends of Rick somewhere carrying on. I don't really know. Doesn't matter. It's a bit of an adventure, really. I haven't travelled enough lately because I haven't had the money. So I'm viewing it as a little bit of an adventure. And I owe it to the man. He was so kind. I hated fighting him though, because I knew he was so much better than me. Even though I had the advantage of being left-handed, he knew how to cope with that. And, so this video is, well, it's dedicated to Rurik Gunnar Magnusson, the Cyber Viking, a true and loyal friend who I will miss dearly. And I will say goodbye to him tomorrow. Thank you for listening, peeps. Peace and Valhalla.